Fallout from the removal of Cilliers Brink as the mayor of Tshwane may have a ripple effect on the relationship between the DA and the ANC. You would have seen reports in the city press over the weekend suggesting that the DA is threatening to pull out of talks with the ANC to stabilise some of the other metros in Gauteng ahead of the 2026 local government elections. Political analyst Sandile Swana joins me now. Good morning and thank you as always for your time, Sandile, appreciate it. Federal Chair of the DA, Helen Zille, writing this weekend that the events in Tshwane mark the end of progress that they've made in negotiations on various models of cooperation in the metros where the party governs, where no party rather governs with an outright majority, and that they would now withdraw from those talks. How, in your view, will this development affect the agreements between the ANC and the DA?
Thank you, Iman, and to your listeners. It's the letter that has been published by Helen Zille and the DA is a perplexing letter because, to my mind, the DA has got no bargaining chips whatsoever. In as far as I'm aware, in Johannesburg, the DA is an irrelevant entity. It's not in power. In Ekurhuleni, it's not in power. Now they are being moved out of power in Tshwane. So what is it? What bargaining chips are they bringing to the table? They've got nothing to offer. On the other hand, Herman Mashaba had a very good track record in the city of Johannesburg as to whether he'll be able to bring his expertise to bear on this whole new arrangement. It's another matter altogether. But the DA has got no bargaining chips.
So where does it leave, do you think, then, this demand that Brink be reinstated before the process, and this is the process of their talks with the ANC, that he has to be reinstated before those talks and negotiations can continue? It sounds by what you're saying like they're not likely to be very successful in that quest.
The DA was there to say that Brink must not be removed, and Brink was removed. So to say he must be removed after he was intentionally and openly removed is to undermine the democratic right of the city council in a formal sitting, lawful sitting, to remove a mayor in whom they've lost confidence. So the DA is trying to work against the democratic constitution of the Republic of South Africa. So it's nonsensical, it's a waste of time.
We'll go into what this means for those configurations nationally, which, created these expectations that a GPU, a government of provincial unity, would prevail in the shadow of that mountain, so to speak. But one of the key questions then is going to be, Sandile, what happens to stability in Tshwane? We know that there are pressing demands. We know that there are pressing needs. I mean, the community is still calling for things like water, for service delivery, and these are also historical demands. So one can certainly understand the frustrations there. And it is about the cohesiveness and the ability to professionalize the way municipalities are run. What are your thoughts in the coming days? Of course, they've got 14 days to announce the replacements and things like that, but we're just talking operationally then in that municipality. What happens? One of the prominent factors in my judgment in this will be what Herman wants to say about the whole situation in terms of, as you say, professionalizing the municipality and so on and so forth. But, I had to sit and look down at the track record of the DA. Very quickly, you had Solim Simang, Stevens Mukhalabe, Randall Williams, Murunwa Mokwerela, and then Cilliers Brink. Since the historic 2016 election, it's been a merry-go-round. They've been unable to get a clean audit. They've released cholera into the community and so many other problems. So for us as citizens and the business community there is complaining that they are not receiving services. So somebody needs to come forward, and I'm not saying it's Mashaba or it's this person or that person, but somebody needs to be able to say the ANC made a mess, the DA has made its own mess. Somebody needs to come in and say, what is the correct way forward? It's so interesting, and I guess for experts like yourselves,
And then for us looking into the world that you operate in, we can look at the same set of facts or information and come away with a very different picture. So for everything that you've just cited now, we still hear, the tough talk from the DA saying, here was a man who is leading the turnaround in the city of Tshwane. Things are beginning to stabilize. The change and the outcomes of those change are almost imminent. This is the wrong time to move him. Again, looking at the same set of information that you're sharing with us now. How do we come to these two paradoxical scenarios?
My attitude towards these situations is that I try to advise people to look at the reports from the Auditor General, look at the reports from organizations such as the Human Sciences Research Council, the major universities, and so on. A statement made by a politician, such as Helen Zille, you should probably weight it at about 20% compared, for instance, to a statement from the Auditor General. So that's all that I can say, because I might be rude otherwise.
We don't mind gloves coming off. So, I want to give you permission without getting us into trouble with the BCCSA to say whatever it is you want to say, Sandile.
You see, as I said to you, I'm sitting with a paper here in front of me that I was trying to work out the chronology of this whole thing. Overall, taking it from 2016, because it was clear before 2016 that the ANC is losing grip on the city of Tshwane. Then the DA came in with Soli. Soli left the municipality with a big scandal, and he's been promoted to be the leader of the DA in the province. Stevens Mukhalaba, it was another mess. Randall Williams, other scandals. Murunwa Makwerela, a big, massive scandal. Cilliers Brink. Now, so the DA on its website is celebrating that Brink got a qualified audit. Now, in the city of Tshwane, without going outside the town of Tshwane, completely just staying in the city, you can get any type of accountant. You've got the University of Pretoria there, you've got CUT there, TUT there, every type of UNISA is there. You can get any type of CA to produce proper books there. You can get any type of engineer to run sewerage works. And the DA, since 2016 until today, they have not been able to do that. They've not been able to get it right. Instead, they've brought in people with very questionable CVs to lead the city. So Cilliers Brink, unfortunately, is a casualty of a consistent pattern of failure on the part of his political party.
Let's talk then implications. I'll get to 2026 and local government elections for that year and how these machinations will affect or influence what we see come next year. But let's talk about the GNU for now. And the leader of the party, the DA, John Steenhuisen, says that the Gauteng ANC acted against the wishes of many of the party's national leaders. The ANC's pushed back against that. But we're hearing again mixed messages about whether this has the blessing or doesn't. And he's also calling for a meeting with President Cyril Ramaphosa. How does all this affect that configuration, the national government of national unity?
You must remember that everybody who's in this thing that is called the government of national unity is opportunistic. If you remember that Nduli, when they were trying to form this grand coalition and all these things they were doing, he said, everybody who's coming here is coming to finish off the ANC. But we don't want any of you to advise us how to protect ourselves from any of you. In other words, the EFF should not advise the ANC how it should be protected from the DA and the vice versa and so on. We will protect ourselves. So you must not think that the ANC in the so-called GNU is even trying to do things that are in the best interest of the DA or a friendship even with the DA. It is looking at building a portfolio for itself so that by 2026 it is in good books with the voters. But the DA is doing the same thing, including seeing whether as the ANC weakens, it cannot take over the ANC and hold it captive for the next 10 years. So everybody there is opportunistic. Now, the people in Gauteng, for instance, a province such as Gauteng, also are opportunistic to say, look, if we bring in the DA will finish us off. We better relaunch ourselves without the DA, relaunch ourselves with new allies and so on and so forth. So if there's one word I can use around this whole situation is the word opportunistic or opportunism.
Well, we've seen in the last election that the potential for seismic shifts, the eviction of political players who might have seemed comfortable in their positions historically, it seems as if their voices are becoming a little louder. And we've also seen disparities in the way that national polling trends stack up against the way that voters will vote when it comes to local government elections. So just a word on that, Sandile. What are some of the cautionary tales out of this saga to what we might see in terms of voting trends and political power come 2026 and the local government elections?
So one thing we cannot ignore in the 2026 election is that the MK party, which really changed the political picture in the last provincial and national elections, now wants to stamp its authority in the local government elections. And that is, I think, the DA and the ANC, DA, ANC, IFP, those three are very aware of that situation. The EFF, I don't mention it because it is not a ruling party, it has not yet established a name for itself as a ruling governing party anyway. These three have. So this election that is coming in 2026, and I think it is coming pretty fast, is going to create a situation where there will be impact on the ANC, there will be impact on the DA, there will be impact on the IFP, those three. Now, it's a question of which provinces. Gauteng is obviously in jeopardy. KZN is in jeopardy. We don't know what will happen in the Western Cape, but there will be a shakedown.
All right, interesting times ahead. Sandile Swana, thank you very much for sharing your perspective with us today. This conversation continues to happen and we'll await to see what the final configuration is.